All right, so we're on the ninth tee here at Pablo Creek. Talk to me about your swing thoughts. You're in a tournament round right here. You stand up on this tee. What do you see here, and what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I pretty much have the same thought for every shot, all the way down to my wedge game. So I really want to pick. I don't like picking really specific targets. I kind of like give myself a little bit of a range. So for this shot, I would say probably left greenside bunker. That would be kind of my window I'm going to. And from there, I practice on the range, setting up with a couple clubs right at the flag, and try to make sure I'm lined up straight. And then my tendency has always been, I want to fall back and flip. And so my biggest thing I work on is feeling like my chest is here and I'm really getting through the shot. So a lot of times you'll hear my caddy Andy, right, pretty much every shot when I'm walking in, he'll say neutral, get through. So I work on a neutral path, keeps the club in front of me, and then I want to make sure I get through the shot. And for the driver, these things are meant to be swung fast. I like to feel, especially with the driver, even maybe a little more aggressive through the ball.
Do you, and the risk of the backwards motion is, if you stop going through, you can kind of quit on the swing a little bit?
Yeah, so when I go back on the way down, typically what's going to happen, if you go back and you don't rotate, so you kind of slide, it's just going to be all hands. So it's going to push my path out to the right, and then I'm going to have to save it with my hands. So it's usually going to be like a toe strike, and my path will kind of come into the left this way. And so the way I kind of
keep going.
The way I kind of battle that is I like to just feel like I'm really aggressively getting through the shot, and
then that forces you off of your right side.
Yeah, I mean, you could think about a lot of ways. I mean, you could think about getting weight into your left foot. Sometimes I think about covering the ball, but really it's just, can I aggressively get through it? Aggressively, really mainly with the driver.
Has that been your same thought your entire career?
Not my entire career. I've just learned my swing more and more. I feel like every year I learn it a little bit more. I learn how my body feels, how it works, what my tendencies are, and that's kind of the main thing that I can take to the course every day and know that, okay, if I hit one a little off the toe, a little left, which is my miss, just didn't really get through it. And it's kind of just like peace of mind of like, all right, I've put in the right work, I'm working on the right things. If I hit one bad, it's not like I got to reinvent the wheel. I just go back to doing that a little bit better.
You mentioned the neutral thing. Is there something you would do to get off and set up that would cause the downstream effect of that, right? So like, how does the neutral thought
So when I set up, I put two clubs down. I'll put club here, and I'm just setting up square, parallel. I guess my feet line would be parallel here, and I'm just trying to feel like that club's going straight back and straight through. I don't want to ever feel like it's, again, my tendency is that way. So I want to feel like the club's out in front of me. It's working up and down the club line, and that's kind of how I practice it. And I've done it so much now to where it's not too much of a thought, but it's more so I'm just hitting back of ball, and I'm using my body to get through the shot.
And so when things aren't going great in a particular round, you're still just working on that. You're going back to that field no matter what.
Yeah, usually when I hit it poorly, again, I'm just not moving as good, or my whatever tendency. So I'm here, so it's a little bit of a push or a little bit of a flip. Like rarely, I don't know if I've ever, I can remember, started to get to this way. So it's always the same thing.
I can bring you over to my my world view. Well,
I play a lot of golf compared to some people.
It's so wild to see you do that move, right? Because that's what I feel like I've been battling for like 2.5 years. But I've tried like flaring my foot out more so I don't like lead with my knee and force a club lift. You're making a very confused face, which is
no, I'm thinking of a drill for you.
Like, that's not the reaction I'm looking for. I was hoping you'd be like, oh yeah, this is easy. Yeah. I've worked on kind of drills like that where you're doing that instead of
almost like butt back against the wall, something like that.
So going back to your implication is like all the way through the bag. That's the same swing thought.
It is, because I feel like on even like a 3/4 wedge, shorter club, my tendency would be to go here and then maybe quit and kind of go that way. So in order for my low point to be really good and to have that really that proper contact, to getting through the shot, take it back shorter, but I'm still going all the way through. It just keeps everything moving together.
Even chipping, do you feel that way?
Chipping, no. So chipping all the way down to pitching. So chipping, I got usually I'm ball a little bit more back, face open, and I'm just kind of feeling like the flow of the club. So I don't think about that at all in the chip, because really there's a little bit more release.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just try to feel like the weight of the club on pitching, chipping.
And then on your aiming point, you said, not as specific, because I always struggle with like a layup shot on a par 5 where I'm not going for it, and I tend to get really, really lazy when I don't have a very specific target.
Yeah.
And so is that just you mentally being, not trying to be too hard on yourself of, hey, if it doesn't land on that specific tree trunk, it was still a successful shot?
It almost like makes me feel a little tense when I'm like, okay, I'm going to right edge of that bunker. It's just, to me, that looks a little bit like that's way out there. It's a teeny little spot. I'd rather you tell me, hey, between just the green that you can see, that's your fairway.
It's like kicking a field goal instead of...
Yeah, it just gives me a little more freedom to I don't have to feel like I'm so perfect. That kind of gets in the way of that, subconscious a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see one.
All right, let's see it. So yeah, I feel like this wind is straight down. Another thing I like to do that helps me with the getting through the shot, if I'm really struggling, is hit some really low tee drivers. Because if it's really low, you can't really do that. You have to cover.
Preaching to the choir here. I warm up with driver off the deck a lot.
I think that's a great way to do it. And this new GT,
what are you in? Are you in the
GT3? I mean, it's made to give you that launch. So I don't want to ever feel like I'm having to create it. I let the club do it. So I just try to set up as square as I can, neutral, and get through it.
Now that would have worked for that right edge of that bunker.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
So what I love about, that shot right there and this driver is that was slightly heeled, but I still had the launch and it didn't go like way up on the spin. So
that's been my biggest takeaway. I'm in the 2, but it's raised the floor so much higher. Like the integrity of the spin on a toe ball or a heel ball.
So much better.
It's not skyrocketing or it's not falling out of the air.
I found it turns you a little bit into the guy that nobody wants to hear about. So you'll hit a ball and be like, great ball. I'll be like, actually, I towed that.
Yeah.
It's like, it looks perfect.
Yeah.
It still flies incredible, but it's like, it still doesn't feel like you hit the perfect shot sometimes.
When you want to hit a draw or a fade, like we were talking to Ludwig about it, when he wants to hit a draw or a fade, everything is setup related. Is that the same thing with you, or is it more grip or?
Yeah, so I would say it's definitely a little bit set up. Like I would aim a little bit left, but it would be more so for me. I would aim a little left, and I would keep my path pretty neutral, and then I would just kind of hold on to the face on a fade.
Okay.
I don't really want to ever feel like I'm going over the top. I just feel like that creates a lot of varying weird stuff at contact, gets you steeper, changes face angle, all that. So I like to feel like it's neutral, and then just kind of like use my feel to hold on to that face. And then a draw, I don't love hitting big draws. I'm already a little bit on the toe kind of overdraw side on my miss. But if I had to hit a big draw, I would definitely shut my stance a little bit, and then I would just
feel like you're covering the heck out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just trust your instincts and natural.
Yeah, but I don't like hitting the big draw.
It's you almost didn't even want to use the word there. You're like draw.
Yeah, I like straight.
So you have some of the best hands in the world. Like that seems like the whole philosophy is like just create time and space for your hands to do your thing.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, and for the fade, I like to feel like it's my body is just getting more. I'm using my body even more. Really getting through it, and that's kind of what I'm creating with my swing thought is just how can I rotate through aggressively, and that face stays quiet.
Yeah.
You want to hit?
Okay.
Let's see.
I'll try that. I need. I feel like I've had it explained to me like 8 different ways of not doing this move, and for me, it's always like I need something earlier in the sequence to fix rather than this problem, right? It needs to almost be like, like I said, I've been trying to flare that foot out a little bit more to avoid that. I struggle with like just conceptually, hey, do this. I almost need to like break it down prior to that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, okay.
So, I don't know. I also have
Let's
played
see this.
extremely
We'll
low amounts of golf, so
make
we'll see what happens.
adjustments as we go.
Cover and through. Okay. That's a pretty common shot right
Little
there.
off the toe, huh?
Yep.
Pretty solid, but a little off the toe.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just that same tendency. I get in the zone and I feel myself lift the handle a little bit.
Right.
God, everything that you said, you're like, man, I don't want to see the ball to the left. I don't want to feel like I'm coming. Like,
Yeah.
You just shouldn't even watch me.
He makes it work though.
Yeah, but I'm like, normally I'm aimed over there, and
There it
yeah.
is. That's released nice.
A little bit more on top of it.
yeah, I like to cover it.
Yeah, that's great.
That's beautiful.
When it's on, and when it's off, it's I'm either stuck or I'm kind of cutting
Kind of
across.
toe pulls almost.
Toe pulls, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of like pull cuts that are,
I don't
ready
want
to-
a pull cut, but a toe pull cut. Or when you're trying to hit a cut and you toe it, that's not what you want.
not good.
Yeah.
What leads to toe hits? Like in general, just
Yeah.
what causes people to hit it off the toe?
To me, it is. I'm not a very technical player, but for me, when I'm hitting off the toe, it is a fall back, and that makes my path go left.
Yeah.
So when you start coming over the top of it, I feel like that makes you hit more on the toe. So, and for me, a lot of times, I don't even know if I'm over the top as much as my path is going left because of my body falling back. So anytime that the club is exiting left, you're going to see more toe strikes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to hit another one?
Sure, I might as well.
Okay.
So you think a lower tee would do a lot for me?
Let me think about this. So, I think if you keep your path neutral, you're not trying to like swing left or anything,
Yep.
and you tee it up lower,
Yep.
it should help.
Okay.
That's lower than you're used to?
Yes, that's lower.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. See, to me, you stayed a little bit more,
Yeah.
you covered it just a little better.
I mean, just standing over it didn't feel like it was going to go left.
Yeah. And again, I think with the lower tee, it's easy to want to feel like you're shifting your path over the top, but to keep it neutral, because when you start going over the top, that's gonna for me it creates.
Well,
the
that
toe
sequence
strike.
makes sense of what you're saying of like if we want that feeling of trying to cover it and not trying to lift it, I probably am trying. I mean, I'm like 5 degrees up on
Yeah.
it normally, but like that.
You're
is
5 degrees up.
Yeah, 4 or 5 degrees
Five's
up.
pretty far. I think around getting it closer to 0 it would help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just neutral it out.
What's your spin rate? Like,
So tested earlier today, and it was around 2450.
okay.
With that launch, I love that spin. If I launch it lower than that, obviously I like high too, or like 2750.
Just because you feel like it's more control with it.
Yeah, I love the control, and I don't feel like gaining like 6 yards is quite as important as having that tighter window. But that's why you'll see me tee it up real low sometimes, or just kind of like medium, like I just did. But I think around 25 is pretty great. And I think if you want to hit bombs, you want to launch it high and spin at 2,000. But like for me, I like launching it a little more, 10, 11. Spin at 24, 25.
Well, you're one of the better iron players out there too. It's like, you don't need to change up your recipe
Yeah.
to chase another 6 yards.
Try to let the club just send it out there for me. So
Yeah.
Let's get up to these balls. I want to hear how that approach changes when you get to irons as well. But if you walk the range at a tour event, you can't like pick out who the best player is by watching hit balls on the range, right? Like all of the best players, their good shots are very, very similar.
Yeah.
The gap seems to come from like, all right, when you are 100 and however many yards away, let's just say 180, the best players in the world hit a very, very good shot 8 out of 10 times, and like the 100th ranked player might hit it 6 out of 10 times. Like, and I always look at like your game and how you seem to be one of those guys that's just always like always above average, always consistent, and your like lowest percentile shots are not maybe as low as some of the other players on tour. Do you feel that way?
I do. I mean, I definitely feel like having like a narrow miss is really, really important. where if I'm off, I'm not hitting it 20 yards off the fairway. I'm hitting it 5 yards off the fairway. Definitely gives me more confidence knowing that that's the case. And I've kind of tried to build my game around that. It's like when I was in college, I remember when I first got there as a freshman, just kind of not having that good of a feel of my swing. And I had to figure out how to keep my misses really narrow, keep the ball in front of me, because I was a really good putter. And so that's always been kind of what I've tried to do, is just keep that really tight and narrow. And I think something I've gotten better and better at is just course management. I mean, the days that I'm a little off, how can I just still hit the green, even if it's not to 10 feet, hit it to 30, 35 feet, be a little more, conservative, and just not really put myself in position to where put myself in a position where I have a chance.
Totally.
When do you know you're off? Is that in your warm-up routine? Is that 3 holes in? When is that?
I mean, I
switch
think
flipping?
you're probably never as off as you think.
Yeah.
You're probably never as on as you think. It's really just that feeling of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think some days you just are more uncomfortable. I mean, I remember there was a day at the Travelers a few years ago where I was warming up and I just kept chunking the ball. And I just felt, I didn't know what was wrong. I did everything in the gym the same. My prep is the same. I felt like I got a decent night's sleep. And I just kept hitting behind it. And I remember I was a little bit panicked because I'm like, I've never done this before. But
Did you go out and flush it on the course?
But yeah, well, I mean, I just think in those situations, you just have to really believe, okay, I've put in the work. I have a simple process that I know it has worked under pressure.
Yeah.
And just keep believing in it,
Well, it's got to be you almost never see, even guys that win tournaments, they don't have 4 excellent rounds, right? There's usually one day
Yes.
even when you're playing great, you're going to have a day where it's doesn't all add up, doesn't all come together. How do you balance it? You have 2 great, rounds. You're in the last group on Saturday and you shoot 72 and you lose ground.
Yeah.
What's your mentality going into Sunday? Do you feel like?
Yeah, well, that's not a good feeling, but I would say the biggest thing I try to do is go, okay, let's go back over each shot that I hit today. Was I committed? What was a little off? How can I make a little change? Can I go hit a few balls on the range? Can I go hit a couple putts and see a few more go in? And really just kind of keep fighting, because a lot of times, that's just a little bit of the ups and downs of the game,
Totally.
and you can really not be that far off, and it feels like you're way off.
Well, if your swing thoughts are as simple as you keep them as well, how far off can you actually
Well,
get?
I practice that way too. I try to practice the way I'm something I can use on the course. And I think, I don't know. I don't know that I have the mental capacity to think much more than that.
Do you have a time period ever that you go back at and be like, this is when my swing was the absolute best, and when you're struggling, you look at film from that season or anything like that?
I write down a lot of notes.
Okay.
So it's not as much film for me as notes. I have a lot of notes on the phone that I've just jotted down. Like last year, the Soly, I had a putt on the last hole to go to playoff and, finished 4th there, and feel like I really was doing a lot of good things on Sunday. And so I just kind of wrote down Soly, 2024 Sunday under pressure, and then wrote down putting, chipping, hitting, and kind of wrote down what I was feeling. So I can kind of go back to those thoughts of just, how did it feel that day? Was I letting it happen? Did I feel like I was really trying to make things happen? I mean, what was just all of it, mentally, physically, what did it feel like? And to me, that's a little bit more helpful than seeing on video, because a lot of times I can't really tell the difference between
Angles change too, and
exactly.
all that stuff.
For the start of the year, you're taking a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
You go play those first couple in Hawaii, and you kind of see where your game's at. So I feel like I'm always kind of excited to play, and then I'm assessing my game. Okay, where did I get off, and where do I need to improve on for the rest of the West Coast? So
You're good in that honeymoon period or in that reset period, right?
well, yeah, I love taking a break. When I was in high school, I played basketball as well, and I would take 4 or 5 months off from golf, and I love basketball, and it gave me that really excitement to come back and play the game.
Yeah.
All right, what do we have here? 154 from Russ's ball here. All right, so
I'm only the second longest in the group. Man.
I think
this
he
one's
bumped me
got
up 25 yards. So
well, my real ball's over in the woods. You helped me get it. I think that low tee thing can actually really make a difference for me.
So it looks like there's room right of this pin, but for this situation, I'm just gonna pretend there's not much room right of it, just because that bunker's kind of built up right there. But for this shot, we'd be looking at the book and just kind of realizing, okay, we want to be, you see those bushes just left of the pin, maybe right in the middle of those to the pin would be my window.
Do you look at, I mean, what was the learning curve process from junior golf, which I imagine is a lot more firing at pins mindset versus going to tour? Kind of, can you talk about what that journey has been like? Are you looking at data and stuff on where to aim and how to aim, and how do you adjust where you're aiming?
Yeah, man, it's been difficult. I remember in 14, I was in third at the Players going into Saturday. Played with Jim Furyk, who I've tried to model my game after a lot, and he didn't hit it his best, but he kept it in front of him really well, and he always missed on the correct side of the hole. And I think he shot 1 under, ended up finishing second that week, and I shot like 7 or 8 over. I mean, I wasn't even on the planet, and just was hitting it in all the wrong spots, and the course was starting to get kind of firm and fast. And so, you know, I tried to just start picking guys' brains, and they really, for me, it started talking to Jim Furyk, Steve Stricker one time, and basically, for any like little thing that I'm not sure about, I try to go a little more conservative. So, you know, I'm pretty sure the wind's not blowing that hard, so I'm not that worried about wind here. And I know for a fact I want to be left of this pin, but it is an 8-iron, so like I'm gonna be, you know, a little more aggressive than I would with a 4. So you kind of start taking all that into consideration, and you just start kind of become second nature. So I'm just trying to weigh everything out, and this ball is a little below my feet, and I think the wind is probably a little off the right. It looks like long is our miss. My 9-iron goes around 150, maybe just under. And being, you know, we have pullovers on, so it's a little bit cooler. I'm gonna pick more club because I wanna make sure I'm past the pin as my miss. So I'm gonna pull the 8. And then the ball's a little below my feet, so I have a window from the middle of those bushes, about 6 paces left of the pin, over to the pin, and I'm gonna kind of set up at the far left side of that window because the ball's below my feet, so should push it right. And I'm just gonna try to make my neutral swing and just
Same thought.
Neutral and get through it.
Get through it. Neutral and get through it.
All right, we'll see if it works.
Yeah, I'll be your caddy here. Pull the bag away. All right.
Neutral, get through it. Neutral, get through it. Thanks, Andy. Andy pretty much does that every shot too. So that kind of went right where I was aimed, and it's falling a little right, but the wind kind of held it probably just a little bit.
Wow. Landed about 153 when you did 154?
So I was on 155.8.
Okay.
Tried to hit that one right there.
How does the, normal stock 8, 160-ish, you say?
Yeah, I mean, on a day like today, yeah, probably
Okay.
160.
If you
Warmer
want to
day,
make it go
165.
155, what do you do?
So I choke up about, I feels like an inch to me, but let me see what that is.
Yeah.
However far that is.
Yep.
Choke up, and then 155 feels like I'm about right here.
Okay.
160 feels like I'm about right there. And then my normal 8 would be not choking up and just all the way. That's
one of the best like lectures I ever got. I was very early in doing this. I asked like Paul Azinger, I was like, you know, in your prime, did you have like a different swing for 152 versus 154? Yeah, of course I did. What do you think? Like, and I just like, okay, well, I don't know this stuff, but it's interesting just to how people actually get there, right? Whether it's, you know, feeling like you're swinging 95%, or if it's grip, or if it's just distance you're taking it back and all that stuff. So
it is, and to me, I don't like any feeling of slowing down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so for me, if I slow down, I do my tendency worse.
goes, yeah.
So I go this way and I flip. So I want to take the club back to a spot where I can be aggressive through. I want to compress it, you know, compress the ball, have good spin, good contact, and that way I'm in control of the ball. When I start swinging smooth, and I don't know if guys, like if you've ever hear guys like not choke up and they just kind of swing a little slower. That's a tougher shot,
Yeah.
especially under pressure. I like being able to take it back shorter and then being aggressive and compressing the ball.
Got it. That's yours, TC.
All right, let me get out of your way here.
All right, so I had 8 pulled, and then obviously it's not an 8 if you're hitting.
Well, he was choking it a little bit.
Yeah,
And
I
you got
guess-
T150s. What do you have?
I have T1s.
T1. So ours are a little lower lofted. So
I'm a
that's-
big, like, I like to, like, you know, the wind's a little off the right. I like to hold it up against the wind
Love
a little bit, or manipulate it a little bit. But I struggle, like, we live right around here. I struggle off of kind of the semi-dormant Bermuda.
Yeah.
Especially when it gets a little wet underneath.
You
and-
got to kind of accept the fact you might get mud in the eye.
Yeah.
And just go ahead and hit
So
down.
I'm pretty
on
much
it.
aiming right at your ball.
Love it.
And I tend to aim with my shoulders and not my feet, if that makes sense.
Ben Hogan.
Yeah.
I don't mind a thin
Good
miss.
miss.
This. Get up. Ooh. Get over that.
Oh, it's coming all the way back
Still
down.
on the fringe, kinda.
Yeah, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, good contact. I think that
Yeah.
was probably perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so if that was 154, I probably got 152-ish here.
You're the long ball.
I mean, you said it, not me. second ball.
That's all right. I'm used to being the guy.
So
in the back.
I've got 9-iron, which I usually hit about 160. I play the T150s, so these go pretty darn far. And I honestly, like, I tend to just go for, I would maybe try to hit wedge here normally with a firm green like this, because I like to hit it harder than than try to lay off something. But also, I haven't swung a golf club in a month, so it probably wouldn't make sense to try to hit a wedge perfectly here. But as tempted as I am to go right at the pin, I would just go right at the camera as well. 152. Also thin.
Right at your target.
Ooh, I had nothing
How
on
many
it.
times around do you have a number, like out of the, 18 kind of full iron, or like, iron shots, how many times do you have a number that you love out of those?
A couple.
Yeah.
Usually I'm hitting some sort of 3/4 shot or ball below your feet or above your feet or having hit something hard or low. I mean, it's rare to just go, no, this is just a basic normal 9-iron. It doesn't happen a lot, so I love it when it does happen.
It's all about accepting that you're not gonna get that number. And it's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, it's tough to get the perfect number. Usually you're just trying to get the number that airs on the right side, like right there, and be happy with, inside 20 feet. It's a good shot on tour.
Patience.
Do you play for extra? I mean, when you're in contention, is there an obvious playing for extra juice in terms of if you got 148 and you're stretching a club to get there? Is it easier to do when you're in contention?
A little bit, it's easier. So I think the biggest thing, not as much contention, is just weather. Like if it's really warm, I just feel like I move so much better, compress the ball so much better. Contention doesn't really affect me that much, but yeah, it's just weather dependent for me.
Got it.
If you could teach your 25-year-old self or your 20-year-old self one thing right now, what would it be?
It's a deep question.
Man, I can only do one because my 20-year-old self needs a lot of teaching.
We'll say 25.
Yeah, I would say just get really good at like doing one thing with each part of your game. Like just get good at hitting a straight ball. I feel like at that age sometimes I don't want to hit a high bomb with a driver, sometimes a low one, sometimes hit all these different shots and around the greens, all these different shots. And I just feel like if you can get really, really good with kind of like one thing.
Just strip out the variables.
And then you can kind of go from there. I feel like that just makes it a little bit easier to think about.
Yeah.
Just make it a little more simple.
Don't make it too complicated.
Ludwig was saying the same thing. He's like, I used to chip with 50 and 54. He's like, now I just chip with 60 all the time. And it's just more reps with that. And, you learn how to manipulate that a little bit.
I think so. I think there's something to be said for that. I mean, everybody's so different, but I think our brains, or my brain at least, responds better when it's a very simple thought, whatever it is. So.
Well, speaking of simple, you get to see me chip, which is anything but simple. So this is where that, and then you're like the 3-putt avoidance king, right? It's kind of your.
Where's my crown?
So let's go up to the green and check out that part of your game.
All right, sounds good. So what's wrong with your chipping?
Oh, what's not wrong with my chipping?
All right, so what are we hitting? What are we
Hit
doing?
off the,
Let's
off this
do
stuff,
let's do one off of Zoysia and then one off of
Okay.
the semi-dormant stuff.
I really like getting ball first and just off the tight stuff. I've never really been like I don't know, some guys seem like they don't want shaft lean and they kind of are shallow. I don't like that at all. I like having some lean. If I need to get it up, I can move that, open the face up.
What do you play grind-wise?
T.
Okay. And then do you switch that up depending upon, or you
It's
always
so
T?
good out of the bunker,
I know,
and
that's
it like, and then off tight firmer lies, it's so good, which is what we play. Yeah. It's like the perfect wedge. But then if you go to like really soft grainy, is when we'll just move it back, or I can use my 55.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to the pin here?
Yeah.
Okay. I just pick a landing spot, and it's probably about 10 feet short or maybe 12 feet short. And, I'm not really needing to go high with this, but I want to hit ball first, and I want to, I feel like I can compress the ball that way and put spin on it. And so I'm not afraid of moving it back. So
this one's going to spin.
We hope so. Can we redo it if?
Commit to it. You said you're going to talk about committing.
So I'll move it back off my toe, and then I'll just
sure
kind of hit it down like that. And so, to me, when I'm guaranteeing that contact, I already have so much loft on there. I just feel like I can do that every time.
Yeah.
When I start, for me, I don't know what I see. Some guys, they'll have it almost like forward, and they kind of like rotate and chip like that. I just don't feel good about that. So I like moving it back. If the lie's really good, we can go high with it and we can widen the stance and all that. But these basic shots, I mean, I love it off the back toe and just ball first.
Ball first. All right.
Let's see what you got.
All right.
What do you like? I'm telling you what I like.
Well, so the more you
I don't know what I like. That's my problem.
you can end up blending so much different stuff.
Exactly.
And like I have a different feel.
And some of it contradicts
Yes.
each other. Like I struggle a lot with ball position when I chip, where, so I feel like it's in the back, but it's really right in the middle of my stance. So, but I also have a problem like part of the reason I play the T grind is because I like it when I do open it up, that leading edge doesn't come off the ground very much, because otherwise I feel like I'm gonna blade one and cut the ball in half. So, but yeah, I mean, talking about it earlier, I tend to collapse at the ball instead of using the ground a little bit.
Okay.
So.
Hey,
Nice.
that came out
That was
nice.
good, but like
You
you
didn't
can
like
see
his
how
process?
that like not on Zoysia. If that's on Bermuda, that thing's digging a little bit. And
I would play for the dig. I'd just move it
Okay.
back and play for the dig if I was you.
okay.
Off that, yeah, you can kind of throw it and feel it bounce off there, and that's fine, especially with a tee, because it's made for this type of surface.
Did you like his process there? You kind of gave me a little giggle. Right
Well, he
before
started doing this, and I just was looking at you to make sure that I was seeing if that's what you did.
No, well, once you see the video, I was at a TPI with Greg Rose, and he's like, hey, you're going like this. You need to be going like this coming up instead of just collapsing at the ball.
So this, I've been trying to do, like, I have a tendency to like go short and then try to create speed. So I've actually been trying more to take it back, but kind of have a more abbreviated finish, which has added spin, and it has helped me feel like I have some margin for error, like you were talking about a little bit there. So.
Yeah.
That's as good as I could do it.
How'd that feel?
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Well, I didn't look bad.
I just making sure you liked the way. I mean, you're saying all these things you didn't like, just making sure you liked it.
No, I mean that felt good, but I'm not afraid of hitting anything off this grass though. Like that's easy. But
You want to go back to the Bermuda?
we can try it.
Yeah,
sure.
let's do that.
You got the balls?
Sure, I'll get them.
All right. It's not easy off this stuff. I might use a gap wedge. So this is still.
This is still kind of blended.
Blended.
But where like this is the stuff. I just
This is awful.
I get. All right, I'm glad you feel that way
The
too.
tee grind's not made for this.
What are you using? Let's say the whole course is this. What are you using?
Yeah. So let's pick a really bad lie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's set up to that. Tell me how you think that one is.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the
sitting-
stuff that keeps
Yeah.
me up at night.
So I kind of like going same principle. Okay, so I want ball first, Okay. And I don't mind that it's going to go low. My main thing is I want ball first. I don't want to, you know, feel like could bounce it up into it. You know, this is something so I'm not afraid to go back toe here. And I'd probably use a gap wedge.
Okay.
There's not a lot of bounce on this thing, so like I don't have a ton of room for forgiveness, but let's just see. So I'd kind of go right toe and just feel the weight of the club. Not hit it hard enough. But you can see, I mean, that has a lot of spin.
Yeah.
And that, obviously I took a divot because it's so soft underneath.
Yeah.
But that's how I would do it. I would just hit it harder if I was in a tournament.
All right, so you're saying even farther back than...
Let me see what you got here.
Because I'm not that far back, right?
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Do you feel like you're going to get ball first there?
I should, yeah. If I don't, we got problems. See, that's...
So I would say maybe narrow the stance just a little bit.
Okay.
To me, that was a little bit more...
Big thing for me too is I tend to move my head
moving off the
a
ball.
lot.
So I would just narrow the stance just a little and do the same thing. And just trust your setup's gonna work for you. How's that feel?
A little bit more narrow, and I feel like I've got a little bit more center of gravity.
That's what you
here.
want, because this is your low point right here.
Okay. See, you got the full experience.
So if I'm gonna tell somebody how to hit a shot off of a really tight lie, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna move it back because that puts our low point in front of the ball, so that's ensuring that I'm gonna get ball first. And then what I don't really think you should ever feel like you're doing is helping it or doing a lot of movement. So I would just say work on just, you know, having the ball back and then just kind of being a little more still with your body.
Okay. I think the thing you had me working on with the like this feeling is basically just to counteract me going down at it. So it's really like ideally there's no big you know, movement either way, but it's more or less just...
Let me just see something really quick.
It almost feels like you need to just embrace going down at it. Like that's your whole action is going down at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really just letting the ball
get in the way.
Yeah, and just kind of letting the club fall. So,
see, I feel like I can get away with a lot more when it's that tight, and then I get on this, and there's just like nowhere to hide on this, you know. So let me try one more.
Better,
yeah.
So how it was like taught to me was more open to the club face there.
Yeah.
And like his leading edge hit behind that ball and made a divot where it's almost
impossible.
If I'm keeping it that open,
dig.
I don't know if I could take a divot with the back of my club like that. And that helped me a lot. Like in terms of, I feel like I don't need to make like perfect contact with it. If I have that much, my club that open, I mean, I might take a divot, but I don't feel like I can bury the leading edge in the ground.
Whew. Yeah, I love that.
I might spin off.
That's a great way to hit it too. I mean, I think that's probably what people would probably teach a little more than the way I do it. But a lot of times the lies are so firm and tight, I don't feel like I can just fillet it.
No, there's certain, you lay that open on a firm, tight lie, you're like, oh, I'm gonna hit the equator with that one.
So it's very personal, but that was awesome. I love the way you hit that one.
I mean, that's just all like.
It's the way I tell a lot of amateurs who play with me and pro-ams and stuff. I'm like, look, this is what I think, but don't listen to me if you don't like it.
Well, the key to me for me was like I would grip the club and then try to do this.
Yeah.
But it was like, no, lay it open and then grip it. And then it's like, okay, well, if I tried to chunk it, I don't know if I mean, I could probably.
You should try that.
Yeah, try it. I mean, even if it feels like too. Like on my practice swings.
I mean, how open are we talking?
I mean, I'd say that's
like
pretty
here?
open, but I would just say like, it looks like you're trying to hit it like that.
Yeah.
So I would even open a little more than that, but again, not with just your hands. It's almost like in the grip.
Yeah. Okay.
So try to smack the
But
sole
same
of
spot.
it.
No, don't put it where I told you.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
have it up there. Yeah.
I would say just even a little bit more
More
open.
open, yeah.
Okay.
There, now smack the sole of the club into the ground.
Okay.
Sick.
See, I'm not. See that divot? You good? There's the $1 million shot right there.
I at least was getting you to make good contact with the
Yeah.
ball.
I feel like that's got all sorts of other variables. We were talking about variables earlier.
Where did you hit that?
I mean, I think I sliced the ball in half. Like it's
So you like going more forward
Like
and
this
kind of.
lie, I want to go with something like, I don't feel like I could chunk it.
What's the bounce on this
That's
thing?
4T, 58, yeah.
Yeah.
so we got the same. We got
Yeah.
the exact same club. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, off this, just because it's kind of bare, I still like getting ball first. Just kind of hitting that low one with spin.
That's nice. All right, we threw a lot at you. We really appreciate
Yeah.
all the time and efforts
Absolutely.
and a golf handshake here. But
Hey,
yeah,
thank
this was
you.
great.
That was fun.
I need a psychologist more than I need.
We might have gone
chipping
backwards
lesson.
by the end of it. But
Yeah. No, I think you just got to find what you feel good about. That's the biggest thing with chipping. Clearly, we're doing it 2 different ways, you know. But
And then the important part is committing to whatever you.
yeah, but again, less law for anybody is easier off lies like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sweet. Appreciate the swing thoughts. I'm going to take
Bermuda
that low tee.
specialist here.
Yeah.
that was fun.